guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to this segment which is called an honest review, where I'm going to be reviewing Nithin Shivarudra Swami's I Just Want to Remember, which is a romantic thriller. So full disclosure, I was paid to read this book by the author in exchange for an honest review. So here is the video giving you guys the honest review and all the honest points that I thought about the book with my deep analytical footnotes, notes, everything out here. I think I have like 3 pages of book notes on this particular topic, and like this is like, yeah, there's a lot of stuff that we need to talk about today. So let's get started. So let me just tell you right off the bat that if you are someone who reads like a lot of books, you are an experienced reader, and per se you're not a beginner in books, then this is not the book for you, because this is one of those books that people who have just started reading or who are just like trying to explore reading will like. Especially I would like to compare this book in the likes of Nominal Chakrabarti or Chetan Bhagat, like new age Indian author stuff, simply because that's the vibe of the book and that's how the book has been written. So that being said, I would be dropping mini spoilers also in this particular review. So if you do not like mini spoilers as well, then please don't watch the video. And these mini spoilers are actually being described because I have found a few problems with the book, as well as a few good things with the book that I want to discuss about. And yeah, there are two. So just to be clear, there are 2 major spoilers in the book that appear after like 60% of the book, which I'm not going to disclose at all, but I will be dropping like some mini spoilers and explaining why I find them problematic as well. So that being said, all of the disclaimer stuff is done. Let's move on to the actual review part of it. So the book basically starts with the author. Okay, this is the prologue, where the author is having a recurring dream and he is like a bit baffled. He does not know what to do, and he's just, so it's basically the author himself that has been placed in the prologue, although this is a fictional work that per se, but yeah, he's having like this recurring dream, and I think that added to a lot of mystery factor, because apparently the author did have dreams on this similar lines, and he did have like patches of these dreams that he put together as a book. So but it's a lot of it's a work of fiction anyway. So that being said, I really like the prologue, where it starts with he is not able to concentrate on everyday stuff because he's having these dreams again and again and again, and that's how the book actually literally starts and like pulls you in. Then we go to chapter 1, where we come across this main character who's called Aditya Kashyap. And Aditya Kashyap is a state level badminton player. He's a badminton champ, and he has his best friend slash doubles partner is called Avinash. And basically it starts off with one girl called Sanvi breaking up with Aditya and how he's heartbroken, and then basically a lot of stuff does happen which I don't want to dwell into this review, and then like basically like as you move on, some kind of incident happens, and then we are taken to the flashback. So like there's chapter 1, 2, 3, where we see Aditya and his friends and his parents. He has an elder brother called Uday, who is basically a cardiac surgeon based in the UK, and how Uday has come back to visit, stuff like that. So a lot of stuff does happen in the first 3 chapters. I'm not going to dwell into it anyway. And after the 3rd chapter, there something happens due to which Aditya starts reminiscing his past, and that's how we start with chapter 4. So apparently some years back, couple of years back, I'm assuming, I think it was like 2 to 4 years back. That was the timeline from what I remember. I think I'll have to browse through my book notes again. But chapter 4 is when he starts reminiscing the 11 days that he was in Mumbai in order to represent his state in the All India Badminton Nationals Championship. And so here is where like the problematic part starts, right? So basically like day one, day two, like he's doing all this stuff, like he's roaming around Mumbai, he's like doing a lot of stuff that's like pretty cool. And then on day two, he goes to this gallery, and there's this particular portrait, like a painting that he's staring at. And then there's this girl who approaches him, and she's like, "Oh, do you like the painting?" And then Aditya is just like, "No, it's an abstract painting. I'm just like not liking it." And he's just dissing the painting like full on. And then like the tiff happens, and the girl says, "You know what, I am the artist of that particular portrait, of that particular painting." And he's just like guilt ridden then, because he just dissed the painting right in front of the artist. Funny part, he goes to the receptionist and he says, "I want to make a claim on the painting and I want to buy it." And she's like, "No, it's already sold." He's like, "No, I'll give you 50k, I'll give you 75k, I'll give you like how much ever you want." And the receptionist is baffled, because she's just like shocked. There's like a boy, like a teenage boy supposedly, standing there and like claiming that particular point of it. And then what happens is that she basically or he basically she basically tells him that, "You know what, just go and ask the artist if you can buy the painting or not." And he goes and asks the artist, and the artist is like, "No, like you're not allowed to buy the paintings." And apparently the artist's name is Avantika Rathod. So that's how Aditya and Avantika actually meet, and they are like the two central characters of this book. Yeah, I know. Okay. And basically, so then next day, like so whenever he's not, so next day she comes to the stadium, like she goes to the stadium to watch his match and stuff like that. All that stuff happens, and then they go for a cup of coffee, and then they apparently are like hanging out, and they're like dating, and they're like going places, they're going places to eat. And whenever Aditya is not having matches, or whenever he's not practicing or playing, he is out with this girl, and they're all going on dates, and that's like romantic, cool, lovely. So that being said, this is where the problematic part starts, right? Because this is where like the actual mini spoiler part of it starts. 2 days after this whole I'm going on a date thing, or let's go to eat, all of that stuff, like all the stuff that people do when when they want to be in love. Actually, I won't say they are in love. Basically, Avantika takes him to his house, and in his house, basically there is this whole in her house. So Avantika Rathod is loaded, like she's the daughter of a rich industrialist or a businessman, whatever you want to call him. And also he's one of the sponsors of the National Badminton Championship. And basically they are in her house, and he sees like a bunch of paintings done by her that are like hanging on the wall. And like the house is like super duper huge, right? Like she's a rich lady, so that's how that is. And Avantika does not want him to see the other paintings, and that's when they start having like a small tiff and a fight. And it's more like Avantika's like, "No, don't see my paintings, I mean don't go there." And then Aditya's like, "No, I've already seen one of yours, I'm going to see more of it," blah blah blah, all that stuff. And finally like they raise their voices, and finally like Avantika just shouts out like stating that, "Oh, you know what, Aditya, I love you." And yeah, that is a bit problematic, no? I mean, I thought it's problematic because this chick has been just hanging out with this guy for like 2 to 3 days, and he already loves her. No, she already loves him. And then she says that, "Oh, I have been stalking you, or I've been like watching all your matches on video, and I love the way you play badminton, and I love the way you like are in the mode when you play badminton." And Aditya is understandably freaked out, because this girl whom he met just 2 days back is telling him that she stalked him before meeting him. And when they met for the first time, she knew who he was. And that's like super creepy, because I mean, if you reverse the roles, it's like super creepy. And if you like, keep the same, like Avantika where she is, and Aditya where he is, it's super creepy, man. Okay, so basically Aditya is understandably baffled by the situation. He's like surprised, and he's like, "Dude, like I cannot do this." and then he goes back to the guest house, and he's like, like, so basically Avantika's like hysterical at this point. She's like crying, and she's like, oh no, please don't, go, don't leave me and stuff like that. And then that night he has this pep talk with Avinash, and Avinash being the doubles partner, by the way. And Avinash is like, oh, do you really want to like be her boyfriend? Like, do you really want to do it? And then and then Aditya is like, okay, you know what, like, maybe, she made a portrait of me without even seeing me for the first time. Like, she just like stalked me apparently through my match videos and stuff like that. And maybe, it's a good time, like, it's actually like a good time to just like make this, maybe her love is true enough that she actually invested so much time in stalking me and painting portraits that are kind of like related to my own self. So maybe I should just date her. So the next day she comes to the stadium to convince him, like, when he's kind of playing a match or before a match. And then the scene is a bit cringy because he's just like standing there like Shah Rukh Khan DDLJ style, and then she like turns it, and then he's like, oh Avantika, I love you. And that was like what just happened? Like, you just met this chick like 2 to 3 days back, and now you are claiming that you love her, and you know that she's stalking you as well. And that's super duper problematic, bro. That's so effing problematic. And that's not the only problematic part of it, because okay, fine, so basically now, like, this is where I get to know like what their age might be. So I was assuming maybe their age is now 15, 16, because I wanted to give them the benefit of the doubt. I'd be like, okay, fine, they are like in that stage of their lives. They're like, oh, this is the first love of my life, I've never had a boyfriend or a girlfriend before, so maybe I'll end up marrying this particular person. And teens tend to be like that, right? But apparently later on we get to know it seems they're not, because they are in college, and they are in their late teens, somewhere around like 18, 19, 20, like that age. And it was very surprising to see people who are like in their late teenage years behaving that way. That being said, there are also a bit more problematic scenes, because 2 days after this whole I love you Avantika incident, he goes to Phoenix Mills in Mumbai to buy a platinum ring for her. Now I swear to God, I do not know like from where did he get the money, because apparently the book states that the money was obtained through so he has his mom's debit card, and apparently his mom doesn't check the debit card, and that's why. And I don't find it much credible, because in India, if you want to like swipe a debit card or whatever, like you get a message on your phone stating that, okay, the amount that's been cut from your debit card is this much. So yeah, and he buys the platinum ring, and it's like he's not given it to her yet, and he wants to like give it to her. And that's like in itself problematic. And all of this is going on in flashback. And then maybe like a day or two later, they go to Siddhivinayak temple as well, where there's this whole scene where he's applying sindoor. Yes, he's applying sindoor on her forehead, and she gets a bit hysterical then as well, because she's just like, dude, married people do that. If you don't know what sindoor is basically this. It's basically something that married women apply on their foreheads, which indicate that they're married. It's a part of Hindu culture, by the way. So, and it's just like super cringy, because these guys just met like 4-5 days back, and this is how they behave. Like, they're going to get married and they're going to stay together for the rest of their lives. Plus, they are in their late teens. Yeah, I know. So yeah, that is my biggest problem with the book. And I had to explain all of this, and I had to drop these mini spoilers to make you understand what was the problematic point here, because it felt like their love story was just condensed into 11 days, and it could have been stretched well. Like, at least make it believable. Don't just like cram things into like 11 days. I know that he's there in Mumbai for 11 days and stuff like that. So I think like that's where I leave the mini spoilers right now. There are a lot of things that do come like later on, but I do not want to like disclose the spoilers, because if you want to read the book, please do that. So getting to the second problem of the book, it in itself is the whole writing. Like, the writing is not something that I really liked in the book, especially because one, the book had a lot of typo errors. I did discuss with the author, and it seems like during the final publication of the book, the typos were never removed. So we had a conversation, and he's trying to get that removed. But there were a lot of typos, a lot of them. For example, wired is weird, and also nuisance is new sense, and it's just like, I don't know, like if you're writing a professional book, ideally you should not have any typos in your book. And the second thing being that after each and every dialogue ended, like there are dots, like 3 dots, and this is like prominent in every conversation ever. Like if anybody's having a conversation, it's like they're having an awkward pause and then they're speaking. I mean, instead of using commas and dots, like, I don't know, commas were also okay, but I don't know the 3 dots. Again, I did have a word with the author regarding this writing style, and he told me it is a writing style he had, and he would not follow for the next part of it. But it was okay, like, it was, I would say it's maybe like a habit of the author, but as a reader, it's very irritating to read. Another few things that like really happened in the book, writing wise, were like how the past and present tense were like just switched. Like in the flashback, suddenly like there are some sentences to just take you to the present, and then in the present tense again there are like some things that take you into the past. So there is no consistent tense that was like followed throughout the book. And that being said, I'm just going through all the points that I do need to talk about today. And another like stuff that did irk me a lot was with respect to, so this is something that I did have a good conversation with the author about. So basically, Aditya is representing his state in the national tournament, but the states that have been mentioned there are West Bengal, UP, Uttar Pradesh, and Karnataka and Mumbai. And this appears like throughout the book, and it's very irritating because Mumbai is a city in the state of Maharashtra, and when you're representing a state, you represent Maharashtra. Now, having spoken to the author, he did give me his reasons of putting Mumbai there, because he himself had gone for some state level competitions, and it seems like they promote the city where the competition is held a lot. But my point is that the Maharashtra badminton team, or the team of that particular state, has people from all the towns and cities in that particular state or that particular region. Exactly. So you cannot just like single out Mumbai and say Mumbai is a team. Mumbai is not a team. If you are talking about the nationals, then the team would be from Maharashtra, and they could be from anywhere in Maharashtra, ranging from Pune, Nashik, Nagpur, Mumbai, any of the towns and cities in the state. So that was like a very problematic point of it, which was like factually incorrect as well. And there were also a few factual inaccuracies with respect to the whole idea of Mumbai and places. So that was something that I think can be overlooked at this point of time, considering there are too many problematic things in the book. So yeah, in the next segment, I think I'll tell you about the things that I really liked about the book. So that being said, I did really like a few parts of the book, and the first one being, of course, the author himself putting himself in the prologue. I think that's something that I've never seen with fiction, where the authors themselves, like, there have been authors who got autobiographical aspects in their work of fiction, but over here it is the author literally putting himself in the prologue and telling us that, what, I had a recurring dream and this is my recurring dream. And I think that was interesting because I've never seen that happen before, or maybe I've not read that many books to see it happen before. So yeah, that's why I like that part a lot. The next thing that I really liked about the book was the scenes of badminton, I would say. I mean, I'm not saying that they were the best written scenes, but then, at least you could visualize what was happening when Aditya was playing badminton. Like, he used to go into this certain mode to play badminton, and this mode was actually called Aditya Bazooka for some reason. And I really liked Aditya's bazooka mode for that matter. So it was a very well, I would say, thought scene per se. I'm not going to say well written. I'm going to say a well thought scene, and what the author was trying to do during those scenes was pretty much like good for me. And that being said, I liked one more scene, and this is again a mini spoiler because you know like this is like a mini spoiler, but I'm not sure like how well it plays into the story because we'll have to wait for the sequel for it. Is where where Aditya is convincing his parents to get Uday married to his lover. Okay, and I really like that scene a lot because it kind of like was filmy, and it was even kind of like true at the same time because he was actually appreciating his lover Meghna for like a lot of stuff, and he was like convincing them to get like convincing his parents to allow Uday to get married to Meghna and stuff like that. So I really like that scene as well. So like this part is again like a very mini spoiler because there are two spoilers, like major spoilers in the book that you will know if you read the book. So that being said, yeah, that's what I kind of had on my mind, and that's like what I was trying to cover in this particular review. So yeah, I mean, in conclusion, I would like to say that again, this is not a book for people who've read a lot of books. I myself did not like this book a lot. I really appreciate what the author tried to do, but maybe somewhere in execution there is a requirement of improvement. And of course, this is the author's debut book, so he has a long way to go with respect to like more books, and long way to learn from his mistakes as well. And I did have like a conversation with the author as well, kind of like when I reached 90% of the book in order to discuss a few factual inaccuracies. And the guy is a good guy. He's like he was understanding with the whole part of the inaccuracy and also the grammatical errors and the typo errors made in the book and how it added to the reader's experience. And he took it with he was a good sport, and he did take it and said that what, like I'm gonna improve it the next time. So yeah, that's it. That's just for this honest review, and of course all the best, Nithin, for your future books and your future your sequel especially, because the book kind of ends in a cliffhanger, by the way, for those of you who really want to read it. So yeah, I think that's it for this whole honest review segment. I hope to see you I think on my Sunday upload. Yeah, Sunday upload. Okay, bye.